What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who Classic review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 5th Doctor Peter Davison story, The Visitation. This is a story from season 19, which is Peter Davison's first season as the 5th Doctor, and it's generally one that's fairly highly regarded. I don't think it's quite up there naturally with the Case Rangers Arnie and Earthshock, but it is generally regarded as a pretty good story. I have seen it before, however it's such a long time ago that I don't really have any remembrance of this at all. I can't remember anything about it, so this was basically a new viewing for me. So anyway, this is The Visitation by Eric Saywood. It's 1666 and England is in the grip of the Great Plague, but when the Doctor and his companions arrive, they discover an even greater threat. The entire planet is in danger. As the Grim Reaper stalks the countryside, the Doctor uncovers an alien menace intent on wiping out humanity and claiming our planet for themselves. The Pteroleptals have arrived, and only the Doctor can stop them. So a nice little synopsis on the back of the DVD there. Basically, it's kind of an Earth invasion, but the Pteroleptals are pretty much already there. I mean, at the start of the story, it kind of shows them arriving, but generally from the majority of this story, apart from the kind of brief start at the beginning, they've not already taken over, but they're already on Earth. It's really only one Pteroleptal that we see in this story. However, there are actually 4 altogether. I think actually in this story there's 3, because there was 4, but now there's only 3. But it's really only one that we properly see in this story. So yeah, let's get into this one, starting off with the cast. Peter Davison as the 5th Doctor. Yeah, he's pretty good in this one. He has some funny moments, he has some serious moments. Altogether, he's pretty good. This is, I think, only his 4th story, I believe. I don't know if it's his 4th story in recording order, or I'm pretty sure it is in chronological order. But yeah, it's something like that anyway. So he's still fairly new to the role and everything, but he's doing a good job here. I do quite like him. You know, not too much outstanding stuff to say, but he definitely has some good moments all through the thing. Matthew Waterhouse's Adric is fine. Yeah, Adric, as we all know, not the best companion, mainly because Matthew Waterhouse's acting not amazing. And Adric is a character, yeah, he's alright, he's just kind of there, I suppose. Sarah Sutton as Nyssa, I actually did quite enjoy in this one. I do quite like Nyssa, but I feel like in most stories she doesn't really get anything to do. In this story she has a lot more to do, and she actually also has quite a lot of moments with the 5th Doctor, just her and the 5th Doctor. So that's really nice. It gets that dynamic going a bit better, which I really liked, because it's something we very rarely see, just her and the Doctor on their own. And when she's with Tegan and Adric and all those others, she seems to be put in the background quite a lot, so having her on her own with the Doctor was really good there. And then we've got Janet Fielding as Tegan Javanka, who is also good in this story. Gets a bit more to do than Adric, I suppose, maybe, and is better than Adric generally. Definitely actress-wise, she's a much better actress than Matthew Waterhouse is an actor. But yeah, Tegan, once again, she's not really my favourite companion in the world, but she's decent enough here. Alright, so on to the good and the bad, starting off with the good. An exciting start with an alien attack. I couldn't read my own writing there. Exciting start with an alien attack, yeah. The opening scenes are amazing. It doesn't start with the Doctor and everyone in the TARDIS. It starts with 1666, the people there, and something is attacking them, and it just kind of all escalates and just it's a really exciting build-up. I just really like that start. I do enjoy it a lot when the villains are not necessarily revealed straight away, but they are kind of shown in a way, you know, there is a villain here. You can kind of tell just from the weapons, especially, you know, being in this time as well. Their weapons way out of this time, and also just from the slight kind of breathing we hear from what we find out is a Pteroleptal, and then also the android. Just everything like that, even though we don't see it, we can just tell that it's an alien, so straight away, or it's not human. So I do like that. I don't necessarily like it when they flat out, you know, reveal the monster straight away exactly what it is, but I like how it doesn't take ages for anything to happen with the monster. So I like that. I think it's a very exciting start, a great way to start the story. Something that doesn't necessarily happen a lot in Classic Who is kind of getting a little bit of a tease of what we've got to come. It generally just kind of slowly builds up to it, so it's nice to see that here. The Doctor and Nyssa on their own is something we rarely see, and it's awesome. Yep, like I said before, the Doctor and Nyssa is great. It's like episode 1, they kind of split up from Adric and Tegan, and it's great. You've got these two groups. Adric and Tegan, to be honest, are actually pretty decent together in the stuff that they have. But then you've got the Doctor and Nyssa, which are my favourite of the 4. And it's just so awesome to see Sarah Sutton finally getting some stuff to do, some interesting stuff, talking with the Doctor. Yes, she is mostly just asking questions, but there is just this general atmosphere that I think Peter Davison and Sarah Sutton have around each other that just really works. And I think they've even said this, in Big Finish audios and in commentaries and stuff, that, they love working with each other, but sadly on the show it didn't get to do it so much. So it's really good getting to see that here. A very detective/murder mystery feel to the whole story. It was a very murder mystery sort of feeling story, especially the first part. Figuring out what's going on, the Doctor going around, finding, shots in the wall, and trying to figure out what that is, and things everywhere, and part 1 especially feels like a full-on murder mystery, and I really like that. It feels like a detective story. It's just a really nice feeling story. I really do like that. The pterodactyl destroying the sonic screwdriver, it's a moment that I knew happened in the story. The sonic screwdriver pretty much got written out because I'm not sure if it was Eric Sayward or I think it was actually John Nathan Turner, the producer, didn't like the sonic screwdriver. He thought it was just, we need something to fix the story, to make everything good again. Let's just use the sonic screwdriver. So he decided to get rid of it. Which in some ways is sad because I think the sonic screwdriver, it is a staple of Doctor Who, but at the same time you can kind of understand why he did it. It definitely does get overused quite a lot sometimes. So yeah, that moment is pretty good where, the Doctor's trying to figure out how to get out of the cell that he's been locked in, out of the room he's been locked in more accurately. And he gets sonic screwdriver out, the pterodactyl comes in and destroys the sonic screwdriver with his blaster. Really cool, iconic scene there, and I love Peter Davison's acting there. He's like, it's like you've just killed an old friend. It's just really good acting, really sincere. You really feel for the Doctor there because it's like, that is his sonic screwdriver. I don't know if it's actually been destroyed before this point, in the classic series. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it has. So yeah, that was a pretty crazy moment there. The whole story, I feel, is very well paced. One of my big issues with classic Doctor Who is that the pacing is usually quite off. Generally, stories kind of build up pretty slowly and then get pretty fast towards the end. Or they're just slow all the way through, or they're a bit too rushed sometimes if they're trying to go for a more jam-packed story in a shorter amount of time. Generally, though, it is more that they're pretty slow-paced. Whereas this story, it's 4 parts long, like most of the stories in Peter Davison's run. They never went above 4 parts, because I think it was JNT didn't think that we needed 6-parters, which is something that I actually do agree with. Generally, the 6-parters are the more badly paced ones, but it's 4 parts long, and it's just paced really well. Even a lot of 4-parters are quite slow paced. But this one, I felt at least, was really well paced. I liked the detective-y stuff in part 1. I thought that was paced really well to the reveal of the pterodactyl and the androids. And altogether, just the whole story, all 4 parts, I thought were really well paced. Nyssa manages to destroy the android with the machine she was making in the TARDIS. I thought that was pretty cool. Showing, giving us some more intellectual stuff for Nyssa, some more good stuff for Nyssa. I honestly think that Nyssa was the standout companion of this story, which I'm very, very glad to say because she really, really needs it. So yep, loved that very, very much. And then finally, the Doctor starting the Great Fire of London. I thought was pretty cool. He's fighting the pterodactyls at the end, drops his torch in his hand, sets the ground on fire, and that basically sets all the buildings on fire and starts the Great Fire of London. And I thought that was just, I like it when they do that sort of thing in Doctor Who, and I love it at the end where they go into the TARDIS, and I think it's Nyssa, it's either Nyssa or Tegan, says something about, shouldn't we warn people of this, and the Doctor's like, oh, I think we should just let the archaeologists not figure out what happened here, and just go with whatever they think happened. So I think that's just a really cool little thing. I love it when they do stuff like that in Doctor Who. On to the bad. There's only really one thing that's bad about the story, and it is a little bit of a nitpick, and it's not something that I generally really change the rating for. It's just that the pterodactyls don't look great, I don't think. I think the general design of them is pretty good, but they are very, very much depict, like they very much just look like men in suits, just with the look of them, with the way the mouth moves very slightly, with the way the eyes I don't think move, but mainly I think with the voice. The voice wasn't modulated, it wasn't wasn't audibly changed at all, I suppose. It was just a guy talking, and the way he was talking, you could tell he was talking through a plastic rubbery suit. So that was a bit disappointing, but I still think that the pterodactyl, the main one that did the talking and was in the whole story, although it did have just a normal human's voice and was a bit boring in that way, I think he did a great performance and made the pterodactyl very menacing, so I can kind of forgive that a little bit. And at the same time, it's also nice that, you know, a lot of the time they do go a bit over the board with visual, I keep saying visual, with audible effects and voice changes and stuff. So it was nice, I suppose, to have something a bit different, but yeah, maybe a little bit lazy and a little bit, I don't know, just not great. But apart from that, there isn't really anything bad I have to say about the story. I have heard that apparently the direction wasn't very good. There's a moment with, I think it's part 2's cliffhanger or 3's, where the a few of those guys are gonna kill the doctor and that other guy with a scythe, and he's got the scythe the wrong way around, but I didn't even notice that until I watched someone else's video about it, so I'm not going to nitpick on that personally. Alright, so what am I going to give the Visitation as a rating? Well, some people may think that this is a bit high, but I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed the Visitation a lot more than I thought. I knew it was generally regarded as one of the best Peter Davison stories, but I think a lot of the time, Peter Davison's run and pretty much everything from the 80s onwards, a lot of people, even if they're really good stories, people don't, because they are just not as big of a fan of that era as a whole, they tend to mark down the really good stories a lot. I've seen it happen with stories like Caves of Androzani and Earthshock, which, yeah, I mean, obviously it is opinionated, but you see with a lot of people, they really, really love their 60s and 70s stuff. When it comes to the 80s, even stories that just are good, and once again, it is opinionated, but they just kind of are good. They even mark them down a lot, and I think it is, I mean, I did it myself a lot with Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi's run. It's just kind of what happens, but I'm not trying to do that. I had a hell of a lot of fun with this story, so I'm giving the Visitation a 10 out of 10. I really, really loved it. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.